my next generation learning project, I decided on blended learning. I think blended learning is a great tool to be used in my classroom and maybe other classrooms. Um, it's a combination of face to face and online learning. This could be me in front of the classroom, teaching my students, and then having them work on filling out questions on the computer for instant feedback, or I could teach in the classroom and then they could go home and work on that same computer and complete the assignments or rewatch what I just taught in the classroom because I plan to record my lessons if possible. This will allow them to access information at any point and complete their assignments at any point as long as it's before the due date. And I think this will lead to increased outcomes as they can be comfortable in the classroom but also comfortable at home and learn in both environments to the best they can. So, there are some issues, but there's also some benefits and things that are popping up. I found that two of the issues was it's expensive and technology issues. What I mean by this is technology can be a benefit, but in the end, supplying every student a computer is not really affordable for every school district. Or getting the programs necessary, they just can't. It's too expensive. And then there's also technology issues, which I've actually talked about, I think, in a couple other assignments I've done over my program. And that's maybe the internet goes down, or when I was doing my student teaching, we would sometimes have time. Some computers would work, some wouldn't, and they just block the site. So you just got to prepare for that. Maybe have paper copies, or maybe group them together with others who have working computers. So that would just lead to problem solving. And some trends I found, some of these were interesting, but the two that stood out to me was new collaboration opportunities, which means like I could teach in the classroom and then have the students maybe work, and then when they get home, they could do even more in-depth research as they're more comfortable. And this would allow for them to open up, and maybe assignments will be more open-ended, or they can go onto discussion boards in the class and discuss with one another and answer their questions just to kind of make everyone feel welcome and ensure that they are comfortable talking with others, but also maybe you don't need the teacher's help. You just want to see what others think, your peers. And another was self-paced learning, as, like I said, they can work in the classroom, but they can also finish it at home. So they don't have to rush to get it done in the class, and instead can take notes or really focus on my lecture or assignment in class rather than doing both at the same time. So this allows for a more organized approach. This then leads into some strategies. I was thinking messaging on the school site. They can discuss and share thoughts or questions. This is, like I was saying, discussion boards. This is really good for them as they can interact and have a less, I guess, stakes. They don't feel judged, and they don't feel like they have to always ask certain questions like with a teacher. They're more comfortable talking to their peers at times. And then I can also use pre and post testing in the classroom, as I could have, like, in the class, we could do a pre assessment. And then at the end of class, if we don't have time to get to it, when they get home, they could do the post assessment after rewatching the class or kind of looking through what we went through. That would allow them to truly learn and understand what we went over for that day. So I think it would be great for those two. I found a few apps that I thought were great. Definitely Google Classroom, as this allows us to record, or we could just have a more online platform. Padlet, I haven't had too much to do with Padlet, but I know we can create some really good resources or projects or assignments while we're working on that. And Kahoot, which is one of my favorites, as we could use it as a review game. Students could create their own little games and share with the class, and they can just come up with ideas and ways to prepare and study. So I think this would be another wonderful way for the students to interact with each other and prepare for the day of learning. This leads into the last part of summarizing it, and I believe blended learning will allow me as an educator to teach my students in various ways. I can teach in the classroom, I can also be helping them outside of the classroom. We can all kind of discuss and share our thoughts at any point. They can check with the use of like Schoology or maybe, like I said, Kahoots. They can always just get that information. We have discussion boards, and just the fact that they can work in the classroom, take notes, do assignments, but also go home, further notes, take more time and do assignments. This just allows them to work more on things that matter to them in a more efficient and viable method. But that was my blended learning summary. Thank you for your time.